Leo Kelly. For Leo Kelly, it would have been a tough weekend even without the Kurt Olson ordeal. On Saturday afternoon, Leo Jr. had mouthed off to his mother, and Leo had to restrain himself from seriously hurting his son. It was an ugly scene. His son had taken martial arts for a few years. When Leo approached him, Leo Jr. adopted a kung fu stance. In an instant, Leo's rage became sorrow. His son wanted to hurt him. He really wanted to hurt him. Yes, he had been tough on his only son because he wanted him to be a winner in life, but he had never been abusive or cruel. He loved little Lee, as his mother called him, on even his worst days. Leo reflected on his relationship with his own father. There were times where he hated Jack Kelly, hated him, but he always knew down deep that Jack Kelly was a good man. He never doubted that. And even if he could have hurt his father, Jack Kelly was a former boxer and a Marine and an all-around tough guy. He would not have done so. It would not have crossed his mind. But Leo Jr. wanted to hurt his father, and that sad fact ate away at Leo Kelly. Then Leo Jr. refused to go to Mass on Sunday morning. This was nuclear retribution on his son's part. Leo had been little Lee's confirmation sponsor. He had taken his son aside and extracted one promise from him: always put God first. Leo Jr. pledged his allegiance, and now he broke that vow. Then Leo Kelly received some confusing news about Kurt Olson. The powers that be, all powerful, had been willing to write off Kurt Olson as a rogue agent who went psycho if it meant stopping Eva Marie Taffy. But the reports made no sense at all. Multiple gunmen and a wounded state trooper. Kurt Olson would not have eliminated a law enforcement officer. It was not in his DNA. Around 2 p.m., Leo rushed to his office and he chatted on speaker as he drove. The reports kept changing. 1 dead, 2 dead, 3 dead. Ideally, Kurt Olson would have wasted Eva Marie Taffy, and 10 security would have Jack Ruby'd Kurt Olson. But that was not what was being reported. Even with multiple sources, Leo Kelly was unable to figure out exactly what happened. Each source revised their conflicting version of events, but there seemed to be one constant. Eva Marie Taffy had survived the attack. Then a second constant emerged. A state trooper named Tom Tulip had been killed. The cement hardened a bit, and it was now the consensus that DEA agent Kurt Olson was one of the survivors. Leo and Walter McVeigh used encrypted, non-traceable, voice-altered phones to discuss how exactly they would spin the facts. Yes, Kurt Olson had been a DEA agent, but he disappeared a few weeks ago and was terminated from his position. When the story finally crystallized, it made no sense to the Beltway observers. Kurt Olson was being credited with saving Eva Marie Taffy's life. How could that be? McVeigh asked Kelly if maybe Kurt Olson was smarter than he had thought. Maybe he hired a couple of hitmen and wasted them after they fired upon Eva Marie Taffy. Maybe that was it. Leo Kelly made a few phone calls and saw to it that, until further notice, DEA would neither confirm nor deny that Kurt Olson was one of their own. A marathon argument ensued. Walter McVeigh wanted DEA to admit that it was one of their own boys. If it had been conceded that he was on a deep cover assignment, it would raise questions about Eva Marie Taffy. Why had DEA sent an agent to observe this gubernatorial candidate? The negative publicity might counteract the sympathy vote. They might even say that unnamed members of Eva Marie Taffy's campaign were the targets of the investigation. This could be the Hail Mary pass that saved Mississippi. But Leo Kelly would not give ground. If Kurt Olson had hired contractors, he might not have covered his tracks. Besides, Kurt Olson's exposure might link him to the chubby Unabomber on the bicycle who had planted a pound of meth in the trunk of Tony Taffy's car. This made Walter McVeigh explode, and even with his flat Lee Marvin simulator, his anger came through the phone. This was old news. The organization had sent an investigator to pose as a private investigator employed by Tony Taffy. The PI had scoured every security cam within 10 miles of Tony Taffy's apartment. All they ever found was a hooded, obese man on a bicycle. Nothing that could ever be identified as Kurt Olson. The two men planted themselves in their respective offices 12 miles away and bickered from Sunday night until after sunrise Monday morning. Shortly after dawn, Walter McVeigh called a truce and Leo Kelly accepted, unaware that his antagonist was about to go over his head to present his case to Leo Kelly's superiors. Leo Kelly took the opportunity to leave his wife a voice message. He then crawled up on his office sofa and slept for a few hours. Leo Kelly awoke around 10 a.m. and he soon learned that DEA would be issuing a press conference in which they would reveal that Kurt Olson was indeed a DEA agent in good standing, who had volunteered for a lone wolf assignment to infiltrate a drug distribution ring centered in Mississippi. Something went wrong, and Agent Olson responded in heroic fashion to save the life of Eva Marie Taffy, who had wittingly or unwittingly surrounded herself with criminals. With no regard to his own safety, Agent Olson saved the day. As was often the case, sick calls piled up on Monday, and there were some unexpected problems in payroll. Signals were crossed, and messages were missed. A 1 p.m. press conference finally commenced at 3:30. Two important points were emphasized. 1. A brave agent fought for his life in a Mississippi hospital. 2. Eva Marie Taffy was a magnet for all things criminal. Though he had resisted the plan, Leo Kelly smiled at its flawless execution. Chicken shit had become chicken salad.